What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, buckle up because we are doing something special today. So welcoming, you came in the right time. The 2026 World Cup is live, as you already know. 48 teams, 80 games to be played, and about 1 billion people watching every single game. And while everybody is having the debate about Messi, Mbappe, Ronaldo, and who is the best player in the world, we are going to be having a whole different discussion that is going to take precedent in the next year, in the next 5 years, or in fact, the next 10 years of football. And that is what we are going to be discussing today, because right now, at this very moment, a new generation is taking over and is taking the entrance on the biggest stage of world football. We are talking about teenagers. We are talking about kids in their early 20s. We are talking about kids who were literally in high school in the last World Cup when it was being played. And now they are here performing in front of hundreds of millions of people. Today, we are counting down the top 10 rising stars of the 2026 World Cup. And I'm not going to be doing the hype. It's not just going to be about hype. It's going to be actually what we have seen so far with the 2 weeks of tournament that we have watched, what I've watched with my eyes, and what I've seen, and what, of course, I'm going to be putting players that we are expecting to be absolutely dominant going forward. You're talking about based on the stats, the goals, the assists, the minutes plays, the dribble numbers, all of it, because hype is cheap. What these kids are actually doing on the pitch is something entirely different. Number one rule of this whole list is that they have to be 23 or younger. And you must have played a significant amount of minutes at this tournament. No passengers, no guys sitting on the bench, no guys looking pretty. You have to be on the team and actually shown up. That is the rule. We got a lot to go through. Let's start with number 10 on this list, and that has to go with the Gurla of Turkey. He is 21 years of age and plays for Real Madrid. And now I'll be honest with you, Arda's actual World Cup stats so far are very complicated. Against Australia, he attempted 8 shots in one game. 8. Nobody else comes close. He was the tournament's most trigger-happy player after the first rounds of games. Here's the thing though. Those 8 shots produced just about 0.26 expected goals combined. What that means in plain English, historically, a player would need to attempt about 31 shots of those kinds of shots to just score once. So, to be honest, Arda Güler's shot was being very optimistic from the range that he was shooting at. But here's the big but I cannot lie. That is the story. That's not the story here. The story is about the 21-year-old who just put up 14 assists for Real Madrid in La Liga last season. 14. And of course, for Turkey, he is their playmaker. Everything creative for Turkey comes through Arda Güler. And because he did not show the magic that we wanted to see in the first game, and of course in the second game on shooting this video, based on what we have watched so far, Turkey is on their way home because he did not show the things that we expected him to show. However, we know the talent, and that is why he is still on this list, because he was trying to make things happen. However, the Turkish national team and the team around Turkey in general just did not help him out in this particular situation. And so Turkey will probably have one more game left in their group stage to play. However, what we are absolutely understand is keeping an eye on Arda Güler would absolutely be a wise idea for anybody that want to watch good football from the next generation of talent. Now let's go. Let's move on from Arda Gula and go to a bonus entry. And the reason why he's a bonus entry is because I just watched this kid right now and he blew my mind the way he was able to control the game against Germany. His name is Christ Inu Ulai. I don't know if I butchered that name or I pronounced it right. My goodness. Before we even go through the countdown, I needed to give a special mention to this player because what we have seen, my goodness, honestly, after what he just did against Germany, he might deserve a crack at the top 10 properly because Christ Unai Ulai of Ivory Coast that plays for Trabzonspor, 20 years old, born in Yopong. Oh, let's hold a minute. Let's pronounce this right. I wrote it down. Go Abidjan. I hope I pronounced that right. Against Germany on June 20th in a game Ivory Coast lost 2-1. This kid was absolutely immense in midfield. Here is where the start stopped me in my tracks. He completed 5 dribbles from 5 attempts against Germany. 5 from 5. 100% dribble success rate. And Opta has confirmed it. I watched it with my eyes. I was counting as he was dribbling, and Opta confirmed it. He is one player under the age of 21 at this entire 2026 World Cup to achieve 100% dribble completion rate in a single match. Nobody else under 21, nobody has been able to do that. And that right there is very impressive. That is not just impressive for a young player. That is impressive for any player against a Germany side with Joshua Kimmich and an elite defensive all over the pitch. His club numbers back this up completely because I had to go look at it. I'm not the one that watches the Turkish league. I'm not claiming that I watch it regularly. But in the Turkish Super League this season, Trabzonspor, he's made 25 starts, scored 4 goals, added 2 assists, while completing 91% of his passes overall. 91. I need you guys to put that in your head. This is Pedri amount of numbers. 91% of passes overall and 89% of his passes in the opposition's half. He won 56% of his duels, recovered 5 balls per games on average, and won the Turkish Cup this season at the age of 20. 20, guys. He is 20 years old. We need to absolutely remember that. His international form coming in was just as sharp. Across the entire AFCON in 2025, he completed 5 dribbles, won 8 tackles, and maintained a 92.93% pass completion rate. Let's say that one more time. Across the entire AFCON in 2025, he had 5 dribbles, won 8 tackles, and maintained a 92.93% pass completion rate. In a 22-minute appearance against France in a friendly, just 22 minutes, he completed 15 of 16 passes, a 94% rate in that situation, including a 100% completion rate in France's own half. That means out of every single thing, 94% in the entire game. But in the half of France, he had a 100%. So he's a player that understands what it means to keep the flipping ball, but not be so scared to pass it where you just pass the ball sideways. He is a true box-to-box midfielder. He can sit in front of the defense and screen, or he can drive forward and carry the ball. He is tactically mature in ways beyond his years. His vision, the ease that he's playing with, both feet, the way he connects defense to attack. He came through the JMG Academy in Abidjan, one of the most respected academies on African continent, and signed for Trabzonspor just last summer. He is already valued at around 23 million euros. After his performance against Germany, that number is definitely going up. If Ivory Coast advances, Christ Ino Ulai is going to be one of the most talked about midfielders in the entire tournament. Remember the flipping name. I'm telling you guys, what we have been able to see is brilliant oozing through this guy's veins. Now let's get back to the countdown, because I just needed to take a minute to talk about him, Unai Ulai, because what we have watched, the beauty that we have been able to see from that player needed a whole segment of his own. Now, number 9 goes to Pau Kubasi, Spain, 19 years old. He's somebody that is always going to be in my countdown every single time I make these videos about young players coming through the ranks, rising stars, rising footballers. Number 9, this is one for the football purist out there, because this isn't about goals or assists. This is about a teenager who is fundamentally changing how we think about a centre back position. It is Paul Kubasi of Spain and Barcelona, and he is 19 years old. That stat this blew my mind. Among all outfield players in this World Cup, not just defenders, all outfield players, Kubarsi ranks fourth of passes completed. Let me say that one more time so people in the back that don't hear me would understand. Among all outfield players in this World Cup, not defenders, not just all outfield players, Kubarsi ranks fourth for passes completed. He is at 109 passes completed and counting. The only people ahead of him are Vitinha, Rodri, Almeric Laporte, a 19-year-old centre-back sitting in an elite midfield company for passing volume. That is just wild in my mind. It is just wild. For context, this kid made 56 appearances for Barcelona last season. In one season, the 18-year-old Xavi called him an extra defining player at Barcelona. Barcelona, a club that has produced Xavi, Puyol, Piqué. Those words mean something. Spain play a possession-first kind of game. Their wingers, Yamal, Nico Williams, need time and space to operate, and that starts with the backline, controlling the ball and setting the tempo. Kubarsi is the guy doing it from the back. He is not just defending, he is building. If Spain go deep in this tournament and they are serious contenders, may I add, Kubarsi is going to be a massive reason why. He doesn't look like a teenager based on how he plays football. He looks like a veteran, somebody that has years on experience. And that at 18, sorry, my bad, at 19 years of age is terrifying for the rest of the world. Now that was number 9, because now going into number 8 would make this even more interesting for the football purist. Number 8 is the youngest player at the entire World Cup. Not just our list, the youngest player of the 1,248 players across all 48 squads. He is 17 years old. His name is Gilberto Moura. Let's say it again so you guys can write it down in your jotters or in your journals. His name is Gilberto Moura, and he plays for Mexico. He plays for Mexico, one of the host nations. Let this just hit you for a second. What this kid has already done. At 15 years old, he became the youngest player to start and score in Mexico's top division in La Liga MX. Liga MX. At 16, he became the youngest player to debut for the senior Mexican national team. And he started at the Gold Cup final last summer against Mexico versus USA, and they won that game. He was just the youngest player in the history to win that a major international trophy. He broke Lamine's Yamal's record at 16. At 16, at this World Cup, Mora has come on as a substitute and made immediate impact. He was introduced off the bench against South Africa in Mexico's opener and showed exactly why Real Madrid, Barcelona, and multiple Premier League clubs are already scouting him. His creativity, his ability to drift between the lines and find pockets of space, it's not normal for a 17-year-old kid. They call him the Mexican Pedri back home. There's a reason why. That's the comparison. A creative, technical midfielder who sees the game before anyone else does. Club Tijuana reportedly values him at around $30 million already. He hasn't turned 18 yet. I need you guys to hear me when I say this. Gilberto Mora has not turned 18 yet, and he's valued at Club Tijuana at $30 million. And it's going to keep rising the more he plays football for Mexico in this World Cup. He's not here to fill a roster spot. He's not here given because of sentiment of, oh, we want a young superstar. He's here because he deserves to be. And every minute he plays at this World Cup is experience that he's going to compound for the next decade. Remember the name, Gilberto Mora. Number 7. And this one is a name that even serious football fans around South America might be getting properly introduced to for the first time. And his name is Kendry Perez. I hope I pronounced that name right. From Ecuador, 19 years old. He's Chelsea's owned. He plays for Chelsea. He's owned by Chelsea based on his playing right. And is currently on loan at River Plate. Before he turned 17, Perez had already made his debut in top flight in South American football. Played at the Copa America and set the record as the youngest goal scorer in the history of FIFA's Under-20 World Cup. At 16, let that sink in, because that's when he got that record. 16 years of age. His Ecuador coach, Sebastian Bercasese, I hope that, who built one of the best defensive records in South America World Cup qualifying history, conceding just 5 goals in 18 games. He's been clear about how much faith he has in Perez. He said, I am paraphrasing here, by the way, we have always believed in him. We kept calling him even when he worked for his club. The kid has bags of talent and carries enormous expectations brilliantly. Let's repeat that. And I'm paraphrasing just so you guys understand. We have always believed in him. We kept calling him up even when he wasn't playing for his club. This kid has bags of talent and carries enormous expectations brilliantly. Former Ecuador forward Carlos Tonorio said that he has what it takes to be better than Messi and Neymar. Now, that's a little bit far-fetched, but I had to bring it in here so we can absolutely talk about how people are seeing him already at Ecuador. Now, that right there is a statement. But when you watch Perez play, the left foot creativity, the ability to find space in tight defenses through dribbling and 1-2s, the composure that looks like it belongs to someone 10 years older, you start to understand why those comparisons actually exist. Ecuador's defensive record has already made the team one of the most fascinating teams at the tournament. And if the attack can unlock the big tournaments, the big moments through Perez, they could go very deep in this World Cup. And he is definitely the creative key to Ecuador. That is our number 7. Now let's go into the number 6. Number 6, oh man, if you watched France, you were already talking about this kid. You need to be now. If you were not talking, you need to start talking about him. Ibrahim Mbaye. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. 18 years of age. Paris Saint-Germain, Senegal. and he just scored one of the most electric goals of the entire World Cup so far. Let me paint the picture for you. Stoppage time, Senegal versus France. The score is against them. Mbaye gets on the ball on the right wing and drives at France left back Theo Hernandez, who for the record plays for Champions League football every week in AC Milan. Mbaye cuts so quickly that Hernandez falls literally on the ground. He literally touches earth. He falls over. And then Mbaye unleashes a powerful finish against Mike Maignan into the near post, beating the goalkeeper who threw it was going through the far post. You understand? Mike Maignan thought it was going through the far post, but it went in the back of the net. He is 18 at PSG in stoppage time against France. He just dropped Theo Hernandez to the floor and scored. The record he holds, he is the youngest African player to score in the FIFA World Cup ever. Not just Senegal, the entire continent of Africa. He broke the record. Stoppage time against France. His pace, his directness from wide areas have caused problems throughout this entire tournament. He's used primarily as an impact substitute, but which means when you see him warming up, defenders get nervous. His ability to change the rhythm and the tempo of the game in the matter of seconds is genuinely special. The kid who is playing for PSG's youth team not long ago, he's now a World Cup goal scorer. His ceiling, the ceiling on this kid is truly, we need to remember the name, Ibrahim Mbaye. Beautiful footballer. Now we are halfway through. Before I hit the top 5, drop a like on this video if you are enjoying it, especially because it genuinely helps this channel. And let me know in the comments who you would add to this list, who you would take up the list, or who you would drop down. Rearrange the list as much as you want. Let me know that in the comments. Let me see if you called it. Top 5 coming right now. This is where it begins to get really good. Number 5, and this is a player that non-Bundesliga fans are getting properly introduced to at the World Cup, and honestly, he's going to break the internet before this tournament is over. His name is Yan Diomande, 19 years of age, RB Leipzig and Ivory Coast, or what you would like to say, Cote d'Ivoire. Let's start with this season he just had. Among all teenagers across Europe top 5 leagues, England, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, only Lamine Yamal had more goal involvement than Yan Diomande. Only Yamal. He finished with 12 goals and 8 assists in Bundesliga in his debut season. He scored a hat-trick against Eintracht Frankfurt. That 20 goal involvement as a 19 in one of the toughest league in the world is amazing. His dribbling numbers are outrageous. He attempted the third most dribbles in 5 leagues in the world, behind only Yamal and Vinicius Jr. And his speed in January in Bundesliga clocked him running at the speed of 22.56 meters per hour. Let me say that one more time so you guys can hear me. In Bundesliga in January, they clocked him running at 22.56 meter per hour. At the time, the second fastest in the entire league. At this World Cup, he has already shown what he can do. He had a direct hand in Ivory Coast's first goal of the tournament with a brilliant cross, and his partnership on the right-hand flank, Amad Diallo, gives Ivory Coast one of the most terrifying wide combinations in the entire tournament. Liverpool have been linked with him. Multiple clubs are circling, but right now Diomande's focus is on proving that he belongs on the global stage. And from what we have seen so far, he absolutely does. Remember the name, Yan Diomande of Ivory Coast, or you can say Cote d'Ivoire. Number 4, this is one of the most fascinating stories in this entire tournament because Abu Bouardi is 18 years of age. And just weeks before the World Cup, he switched his international allegiance from France, where he grew up, where he plays his football, to Morocco. And Morocco went out and made him a World Cup starter. That's the level of trust that Morocco have put in this kid. And when you look at the numbers from his club season at Lille, it makes complete sense. Among midfielders aged 21 and younger in Europe top 5 leagues, Boardi ranks third in possessions won, 151 of them, fifth in tackles won, 37 of them, sixth in dribbles completed, 34 of those dribbles, seventh in 50-50 duels won. He is also eighth in duels won overall with 152 in 30 games, and of course 2,239 minutes of football he played last season. He became the youngest player to appear in Ligue 1 since 1981, age 16 and 3 days. That record had stood for 34 years. He just walked in and broke it. And here's what makes Boardi so special. He's not a flashy player. He's a holding midfielder. He wins the ball, he protects the back line, and he sets the tempo. He does this in an unglamorized, absolutely essential work that allows everyone around him be better. Morocco have a defensive identity built on discipline and organization, and Boardi at 18 is already embodying that identity. Watch him carefully. He is quiet and he is the engine that makes Morocco tick. Remember the name, Abu Boardi. I hope I did not butcher the name. Number 3, this is one I need you to appreciate what has happened here. Because statistically, it might be the most judged of the entire tournament so far. Amad Diallo of Manchester United, Ivory Coast, 23 years old. Against Ecuador in Ivory Coast opening game, Ahmad came off the bench in the 56th minute. He played 34 minutes in total. In those 34 minutes, he completed 6 dribbles, more than any other player in this World Cup. 6 dribbles in 34 minutes. That works out to 1 completed dribble roughly every 5 minutes. For context, this is insane. The last time someone completed that many dribbles in fewer than 45 minutes in a World Cup game was Nelson of Brazil in 2002. I did not say 2022, people. I said 2002. Nelson of Brazil in 2022. My bad, now I'm making the mistake. In 2002. That was 24 years ago. Ahmad just matched that feat from a player who was known as one of the most ridiculous dribblers in his entire generation. And then in the 90th minute, this is clutch. He received the ball from the near top of the box and slotted a shot inside the post, won the game 1-0, a game winner in the 90th minute off the bench. And he also became the youngest Ivory Coast player to ever score in the World Cup. And in doing so, he joined Francesco Totti as the only substitute to score a match winner in the final minute of a 1-0 World Cup game since 2006. This is Amal Diallo having his moment. After years of loans, deals, and patience at Manchester United, he is here. He is the best dribbler at the World Cup so far. He is a goal to his name, and Ivory Coast, who haven't been at a tournament in 12 years, I believe, are looking like a team that could cause problems moving forward. Okay, this takes us to number 2. And before you shout at your screen, yes, I know, just hear me out. Number 1 pick, because it is genuinely debatable, but I want to defend it. But first, Lamine Yamal, Spain, Barcelona, 18 years old, and a generational talent at that. Here's why, here is where we are at this World Cup. Yamal came into the tournament recovering from a hamstring injury. Spain's first game against Cape Verde, he came off the bench in the 71st minute. And in those 19 minutes, just 19 minutes, he attempted most dribbles player on the pitch, 5 dribbles in 19 minutes. He also created a big chance and fired off 2 shots, all before full time. Then for game 2 against Saudi Arabia, he starts. He scores in the 10th minute. A brilliant back post timed run perfectly, turning what was a cross from Orazabal into one of the cleanest finishes you will ever see in the World Cup, this 2026 20 World Cup. He did this in his first ever World Cup start. That made him the only 8th youngest player in the World Cup history, and just a second player aged 18 or younger to open the scoring in a World Cup game after, you guessed it, a 70-year-old Pelé in 1958. His career numbers tell the story of someone already operating beyond his years. 41 goals and 38 assists in 138 games for Barcelona, and 7 assists in 10 Spain appearances before this tournament. His 38 Barcelona assists came from an expected assist figure of just 26.8. Or is it 26.4, I believe? Meaning the chances he creates are so good that they convert at a historic elite rate. He finished only behind Kylian Mbappe for goal contributions in the entire European football last season. At 18, Yamal is not a prospect. He is here, he is now, and this World Cup could be the moment the whole world finally gets it. The reason he's number 2, and only just, is because the player at number 1 has already put up more World Cup output in 2 games. But make no mistake, Yamal is the future face of this sport. All right, look, after everything I've laid out, let me tell you why I'm going at number 1 for where we are right now. In this, the criteria was clear from the start: 23 or younger, significant minutes, actual World Cup performance, and those measures, especially actual World Cup performance, Ahmad has done something no one else on this list has matched. He has played 34 minutes. In those 34 minutes, he broke a 24-year-old dribbling record. He won the game in the 90th minute. He became Ivory Coast's youngest ever World Cup goal scorer. He posted the highest dribble completion rate of any player in the first round who attempted 5 or more dribbles. Statistically, you don't usually match the eye test this perfectly. But Ahmad Diallo right now has absolutely done that. This player who spent years at Manchester United dealing with injuries, loan moves, and questions about whether he would fulfill the potential that made Man United pay him all these years. Right now at the World Cup, he is answering every single one of those questions, and in the most emphatic way possible. 34 minutes, 6 dribbles, 190-minute winner. History is made. If he keeps getting minutes for Ivory Coast, he's absolutely should be starting, in my mind. This list is going to look very different by the knockouts rounds. But we are going to also make a video about that in the walkout round. So make sure you guys remind me in the comments so I can absolutely update this list, change some things up in the knockout stages as we move on. So there you have it, your top 10 rising stars of the 2026 World Cup. The next generation putting the world on notice. Let me do a quick recap. Bonus of this list definitely is Ino Ulai, Ivory Coast 20-year-old midfielder, the only under 21 midfielder in the World Cup to complete 100% of his dribbles in a single match. 5 from 5 against Germany, and number 10 in this list is Arda Güler, Turkey's creative's heartbeat at 21, 14 assists in La Liga, firing 8 shots against Australia. Number 9 is Pau Kubarsi, Spain's 19-year-old defensive genius, already fourth in passes completed at the whole tournament. Number 8 is Gilberto Mora, Mexico's 17-year-old wonder, the youngest player at the entire World Cup, a Gold Cup winner before his 18th birthday. Number 7, Kendry Perez of Ecuador, 19 years old, left-footed playmaker, youngest scorer in the under 20 World Cup history. 6 is Senegal's 18-year-old PSG attacker, youngest African scorer in World Cup history, a 90th minute goal against France. Number 5 is definitely Yan Diomande, Ivory Coast 19-year-old Leipzig winger, 20 goal involvement in his debut Bundesliga season. Number 4 is Eboud Boardi, Morocco's 18-year-old holding midfielder, 151 possessions won last season, the new backbone of Africa's most disciplined team. Number 3 is Lamine Yamal, 18 years old, 8th youngest World Cup scorer. Need I say more? Number 2, and the honorable mention conversation. Honestly, this list could be different in 2 weeks. Number 1, Amad Diallo, 31 minutes, 6 dribbles, 1 winner, history. Look, this World Cup is special. The 48 teams format means more games, more exposure, more opportunities for these young players to make their mark. We haven't even hit the knockout rounds yet. But by the time we get to the final, some of these names are going to be household names, household words that every single person is going to be talking about. Save this video, come back to this after the semis. Let's see how right or how wrong I was. If you enjoyed this, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and drop your own top 5 in the comments. I genuinely read them all. I will catch you in the next one.